Hello everyone, it is the build-up show, Champions League quarter-final. Liverpool travelling to Madrid to face Real, the 13 times winners of the competition. On Tuesday night, it's almost upon us already. I am beyond excited for this. I know Chris Pajak is. I know Callum Sanders is, and I know that Sam Walker is as well. I am, and I'm sure you all are at home. It's just, I could sit here and just make like excited noises for about half an hour. I'm going to try to chat about the footy. Chris.
It just come right. I've known it was coming for ages, and it snuck up on me basically. And it's the fact that it's a Tuesday night game, and it's the fact that we're not travelling to a big European away, and so it kind of doesn't feel real until you then start doing like the build-up shows and stuff like that. But my word, what a game at the weekend! Like if the first half against Arsenal was the launch pad for the second half, that Arsenal game itself was the launch pad for the Real Madrid game for me. And you know the performance and the way we obliterated Arsenal, didn't give them a sniff, controlled the game from the first minute to the last minute, and just took them apart piece by piece. It's just the perfect way to lead into this game against Real Madrid, because that's what we're looking forward to now. It's the business end of the Champions League. It's the two-legged ties. It's the quarter-finals. You can sniff the final, can't you, if you get a good result here? It's just perfect. Like, and the fact that you plan your way through it as well, and we're in the easier side of the draw and stuff. Man, it's exciting.
Absolutely. Callum, first and foremost, congratulations, 20,000 subscribers on Team Coppish. Buzzing, mate.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for everyone you supported as well. Thanks to you guys as well for having me on. Much appreciated.
No, how are you feeling, mate? It's the kind of tie to just to revel in, isn't it?
I can't wait for this game, and I know I could be sitting there in 48 hours thinking, I can't believe we've just been smashed, but I can't wait for this game. Since we lost them in the Champions League final, I've wanted this game back, and I actually went on record and said I quite wanted Real Madrid in the Champions League this season. And people were like, no, I want Porto. I was like, no. This is a game, because this is a game players will get up for, and they will want revenge. Salah will want revenge in this game, and a revengeful Salah is a dangerous Salah. I can't wait.
Yeah, no, it's like no, I completely agree with Callum's point there, Sam. I've been. The revenge thing's mad, because I think people sometimes try to overplay it, and sometimes then people then try to really underplay it. It'll be in the players' minds. There's absolutely zero doubt about that. And I don't think people think of it. I don't think the players think of it the way that we do. It's not like when they've got lads threatening to offer out Jordan Pickford because he fouled Virgil van Dijk. You know what I mean? Like, this is like the players will want to go and have a straightener on the pitch, and like, you know, by going out and being faster and stronger and quicker to things, and you know, and winning your 50-50s and winning your personal battles, and getting revenge by scoring goals and not conceding them and progressing, that kind of stuff. That's one thing. It's just got this real take, and I agree with Callum. I've wanted it for a number of seasons since Kiev. I wanted it the next year, and I wanted the year after. I wanted to be able to prove this side to prove itself. Now, you know, as far as Real Madrid's cycle goes, I mean, there's a case to be made that we've got them at a better time than maybe getting them in previous years, but obviously we come with our own set of potential issues. The point is, to Callum's point, we can lose this game, but that's another part of where all the excitement comes from. It's a game of football that matters.
The Champions League quarter-finals for me is like, it's where it all starts. Like the last 16, the group stages, you know, you've just got to get through and do your job, haven't you?
Yeah.
When you get to the quarter-finals, very, very rarely do you get a tie where you think, yeah, we'll easily win that. And even if you do, look at Juve and Porto, that happens. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. This is it. And I think the Real Madrid game, if we'd be top of the league now by 20 points like we were last season, this would feel like it's revenge because it's about this game. But for us, now it's almost bigger than that as well. The fact that it's Real Madrid is just extra motivation. It's like, this is our final right now. Where we are in the league, this is us. It feels like, you know, when we beat Barca, that was our final. You know, we beat Barca, we knew we were going to win. I feel like if we beat Real Madrid, we are going to Istanbul. I don't think anything will stop us. I don't look at Chelsea, but whatever, we'll beat them. I think we beat Real Madrid, overcome that demon, this giant of a club. I think we'll kick on, and this. So I'm like, whoa, this is the game. This is the tie for me. Honestly, tough.
We need to make these games. We need to make. Sorry, Cal. I think Liverpool need to make these games not a big thing anymore, because I think, you know, when you look at, like, you know, we've played PSG and we've played Bayern Munich and we've played all these great sides over the last few years in the competition. Real Madrid are the one that got the better of us, you know, and in a final. For me, I want Liverpool, and we've been dead lucky. For years we didn't have Champions League football, or we didn't get to these positions. Now we're getting to these positions, and you're coming up against good sides, historically great sides. And you're like, yeah, sound, we're Liverpool, we're going to take these on. And that's where we are now. We need to make Real Madrid one of those things that just become another side that we beat on the route to somewhere else. Yeah. That's what great European sides do. You don't fear anybody.
Yeah, no, I completely agree on that. And that's the thing about it, is that it's, you know, Klopp talked about this. The lesson from Kiev was to learn how to win football matches when you're not at your absolute best. You know, and you can go and do that. And you're right, that's what Liverpool need to do. It needs to be a journey on the right. The quarterfinals is fine. You go out the quarterfinals though, and no one remembers it. And like, I'm not saying that people have a particular, you know, again, no silverware for getting to a semi-finals, but it's interesting that it's one of the things Jamie Carragher was talking about. If you can make it to the last four of a competition, you can get knocked out by anyone, and you're playing the best of the best in Europe by the time you get to the semi-finals. That's almost a, I say an achievement, but you take my meaning on that. That's what this is about. This is just we're excited. It's big. It's great to have a big game of footy back, but this shouldn't be. Going out in the quarterfinals is shit. It's going out in the round of 16 shit. Going out in the groups is shit. It's slightly less shit as you get a little bit further through the competition. But you want to get in that semi-final, because Sam's right. Once you get to a semi-final, then you're a tie away from being in the final. You're close. It's touching distance from actually winning. And particularly, given our Liverpool season's gone, just the prestige of being amongst Europe's finest four will remind the world. Not that anyone, I think, outside of England really needs reminding of this, because, you know, people don't follow the domestic leagues with the same level of focus as we do internally. That Liverpool are absolutely at the top table when it comes to European footy. The big questions, Chris, and I'll start with this. Start with the centre-backs. Kabak and Phillips versus Benzema. We'd kind of said this a month ago, really, that the Real Madrid draw was a good draw. They're not brimming with attacking talent the way they have been in previous years, and it's a few more games for Kabak and Phillips just to get up and running. But make no mistake, Karim Benzema, you know, he's in the twilight of his career, but he's still an absolute goal machine.
Yeah, I think he hasn't had enough respect throughout his career that he deserves, to be honest with you, because you just don't stay at Real Madrid for, he must have been there nearly a decade now. You just don't stay at the top table for that long if you're not a brilliant forwards. And, you know, you have to just look at, I mean, he's probably won 3 or 4 Champions Leagues, hasn't he? I mean, he's definitely won 3, I know that. He may have won 4, yeah, there you go. And that's the type of striker that he is. He's been at the top table for a long time, and he wants to continue to dine there, and it's a huge test for Kabak and Phillips, because he's got a little bit of everything in his game, and he's not going to be your 40-50 goal a season striker like Real Madrid have had in your Ronaldo and stuff, and he's a great foil for those players, he was, but he's still going to bag you 20 to 30 goals almost every single year, and he's got that physicality which might give Kabak and Phillips a little bit of trouble, but he's such a clever player. He knows how to deal with every type of defence and stuff, so huge test for the two of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the encouraging thing, Callum, from the Karim Benzema perspective, and it's actually no encouragement for him, but, you know, he's got 24 goals in 33 all comps this season, which is obviously a brilliant return. It's that he is their goal threat. Now, they do spread it out quite a bit, but, you know, their second highest goal scorer after Karim Benzema is Casemiro with 6. Asensio, yeah, exactly. Asensio with 5, Modric 4, Vinicius Jr. 4, Sergio Ramos 4. We'll talk about him in a minute. And that's what I mean. You know, Liverpool, obviously, you don't want to lose too much focus on him, but that's again, just it speaks to the whole thing, isn't it? If you can quiet Benzema, and that's no simple feat, and that goes back to the challenge of Kabak and Phillips. If they're able to come out on top on that, it gives Liverpool a fantastic platform to win this time. Indeed,
and Benzema, as you both said, has been massively underrated across Europe, and he was sort of Firmino before Firmino came to the powers that he is today. But I do think you're right. If we can keep Benzema quiet, whether it's be Vinicius, Asensio, or Hazard that plays, I think you negate a lot of their attacking prowess, and I think you keep Benzema quiet, and it allows us to play on the front foot and really pin back Real Madrid. And I don't think they're the greatest defensively at the moment.
Yeah, definitely keep him quiet and don't roll him the ball.
Yes, yeah. If you cannot just hand him the ball in front of goal, that would be a positive step in the right direction. Yeah.
Sorry, everyone, too soon.
Yeah, too soon. It's never going to be. It's never going to be fine. The one pair we were having a little chat about this time pre-roll, and Eden Hazard, Zidane reckons he might be available. It was too soon for the Eibar game at the weekend. But Eden Hazard could be available. And I had a little, I've been looking at the stats and looking at the goals and going, well, the only man who can really hurt us is Callum Benzema. Like, I know Hazard he's had loads of injury problems. He's just not fulfilled that potential, I think, since moving from Chelsea. But if there's one player on the planet who I am just terrified of Liverpool coming up against, regardless of whether he's played or not, he'll come into this game. He had an entire rubbish season for Chelsea and then decided to just turn up at Anfield and turn as a new one. So, yeah, I would be a little concerned if they were able to get him back for this game.
I'll be honest with you, mate. I haven't seen a bit of him. I don't care. If he even plays, which I doubt, he might come off the bench if they're in big trouble. But for me, he's now he's good to shift the ball past Trent and then not move with it, because that's where he's at these days. His arse is that big. He's put loads of weight on. He's just not. I mean, he scored 2 goals for Madrid in 2 years. I just think, yeah, he might pop up and bang on him, but over those 90 minutes, if he would play, he'd probably do more harm for them, not defending and not doing what he's supposed to be doing.
Is he describing Hazard or me?
Chris, I don't know. But seriously,
his arse is dead big. He's put on a bit of weight.
Faster downhill.
He's honestly though, has to be Zidane just talking to Liverpool. That's all it is, because he's been asked the question, he's given an answer, and then the UK media or whoever it was that have taken it into it. Oh well, look, remember that goal 3 years ago? Because I just think Hazard, hasn't he been told he's one more injury away from his career being over? Like, we shouldn't be, if we want to win this thing, be worried about a guy who's been told one more injury, your career's over. Benzema, yeah, hands up. They tried to replace him enough times and it hasn't worked out, so he's the man. But for me, Hazard, if we don't deal with Hazard, that's on us, not on the quality of Hazard, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. My big hope in this game is that, and I mentioned this a few weeks ago, is that this is a bit like when we played Real Madrid in 2008, 2009, in that post-Galacticos, they've still got brilliant players, but it was like they came to that game with Raul as centre forward, who was a legend, an absolute legend of football. But the fact, there's a respect that says you've been at a club for a long time, but there's also a thing in saying you're now the main man because all the other main men have gone. Is also a little point about this, and that, look, they're going to cause us problems without a shadow of a doubt. But I'm kind of hoping that's the way they're at, because this isn't that Real Madrid. This isn't Bale coming off the bench and scoring overhead kicks. It isn't Cristiano Ronaldo, the complete footballer and human being. That kind of stuff.
But they've got that experience in the spine of the side still, haven't they? Your Varanes, your Modric's and your Casemiro's and your Benzema and all that type of stuff. And we know that experience in the Champions League is absolutely massive, and the fact that most of those lads have still won it a few times each. So you can't underestimate Real Madrid, because if we can sit here, and we've sat here, all of us at some point over the last few years, and go something different about Liverpool in this competition, we've won 6 of them. Real Madrid have won 13. If we think we're a little bit different when we get to the Champions League, Real Madrid are on another level to everybody else when it gets to the Champions League, and you've got to respect that.
Yeah, no, 100% on that. The thing that kind of leads me into is obviously the Sergio Ramos stuff, Chris, and we're told that he's going to miss both legs. Whether that's true, we'll find out. I would be. It's interesting that both Lewandowski, obviously different team. Big important players. We're being told it's 1 month out, which will definitely mean they miss both legs. I have a little scepticism about whether both of them might be back for their respective clubs by the time the second leg rolls around, but we'll see. But I don't know. Is the game better or worse for us for no Ramos?
I think it's better for Liverpool. I think first of all, he's a top draw defender. Second of all, he is Real Madrid. He's their DNA. He's what makes them tick. And he's a player who has always thrived in the spotlight of things.
Yeah.
You know, if this game was going to be talked about Mo Salah and Sergio Ramos, then I reckon Ramos would have come out on top because he always has done. He's done it throughout his career. When everyone's talking about him, he shuts everybody up and he reminds people, not just defensively, by the way, but you mentioned there he was in the top scorers. He's consistently scored goals in big games for a long time. Yeah. He takes the pressures of being at Real Madrid, which is probably one of the worst clubs for pressure in the entire world, and he bears it on those big, strong shoulders of his really well. So I'm made up that he's not playing because I don't want the storyline to be Salah versus Ramos. Yeah. I want the storyline to be Liverpool versus Real Madrid.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting point. I mean, it's telling he's actually their penalty taker as well, which is another thing that they may be losing from this. And the one thing, I don't know enough about Real Madrid, who's below the surface really, Callum, but you know, the problem with the Ramos thing, you're right, is people thinking that it's a win because he's out somehow is obviously a little bit misleading because Real Madrid are going to be a fantastic outfit regardless. But Chris is right up for all the reasons listed. It is nice that the focus will be the match rather than that. And the problem with Ramos is when you find players like that who are at that stage of their careers and it becomes an all or nothing, you know, you end up with desperate men do desperate things. And, you know, I mean, think about Vincent Kompany for Man City, snapping Mo Salah, Ramos doing the same kind of thing. At least you lose someone who's maybe he's lost a yard, he's lost a little bit of his ability, and trying to make up with it with brutality means we might actually get a more of a football match for not having Ramos involved.
Yeah, completely agree. And I think them losing Ramos actually means they'll probably be slightly better defensively in terms of how they set up. I think as an overall footballer and as a leader, Ramos is probably second to none when it comes to being a centre-back in over the course of his career. But you think about his physical attributes now and you think Mane, Salah, Jota, I think they could tear him to absolute pieces potentially. However, you look at Nacho, Varane, and you think they've got more pace, they've got more agility about them. They could actually be up for more of a fight with those three players. However, I do think them losing Ramos and his leadership, his overall leadership, and if things start to go bad for Real Madrid, we could literally see them just spiral out of control. Whereas if he's there and they go a goal or two down, you're thinking, well, yeah, we can still get back into this because Ramos is here and he could pop out with a big goal.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a big game of footy, isn't it? Right, so we're gonna talk a little bit about what Liverpool do selection-wise and how the game's likely to go, etc., etc., etc. After we take a short break, we've got a trivia question to keep you guys ticking over. In the meantime, who is the only current player for either Liverpool or Real to have played for both? Answer will follow this very short break.
And it keeps, you know, we're in the international break, so you've got those couple of weeks now you can dream or look forward to a game. And if you get through the quarters, then the semis to come, and it's like, you know, it just... I don't believe right now, and I don't think many Liverpool fans believe they'll win the European Cup this year. But I think if we get through this round, I think we will then. Because I think once you're in the semi, and it takes me back to 2005, where we didn't believe before we played Juventus. But once you beat Juventus, even though we had Chelsea in the semi, it's a bit like... It's only 2 games. It's like a semi and a final. You know, anything can happen. So I think if Liverpool get through this round, I think that's when the belief will really kick in that someone big will have gone out from the other side of the draw. There might have been an upset with City Dortmund. And then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think. Everyone, welcome back to the build-up show. Yes, the Jamie Carragher interview exclusively for the RedmenTV.com, looking ahead to Real Madrid and having a little bit of a flight of fancy as to what Liverpool could face further down the line if they get past this game. We also chatted about Man City's hopes, PSG, Bayern Munich as well. Yeah, really, really good stuff, and it is available exclusively and streaming right now on the RedmenTV.com. We've also got a bunch of Champions League documentaries, because I don't know whether you're aware, but we've been to a few finals lately, and we've done quite well in 50% of them. So yeah, those documentaries are also there. If you want to keep yourself excited, get buzzed, look back on some memorable moments. So we've got our streaming service over there on the RedmenTV.com. Go and sign up now. There's also an exclusive competition if you join at Club Legend level over on there. More details to follow at the end of the video. Yes, who is the only current player to play for either Liverpool or Real Madrid? Both, I should say. Chris, any ideas?
Andy Robertson. Played there before Hull, didn't he?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
No, it's Fabinho, isn't it?
It is Fabinho. Well done. Yes, well done indeed. If you got that, give yourself a big pat on the back and drop a like on the video. Right, sound. Callum, it's tough to see any midfield three for Liverpool that doesn't have Thiago, Gini and Fabinho in, really, isn't it? I think, Gini got a little bit of rest at the weekend. He's the man for all occasions. He's the man for the big games, particularly in Europe. Fabinho, we've been a different prospect since he's come back into the team, and Thiago, we're finally seeing him at the level of which we bought him, really. Do you think there's a chance that we do anything different?
No, I don't think we do anything different for the first leg. I think if we're trailing going into the second leg, I think we maybe go to a 4-2-3-1. But for the first game, I think 4-3-3 makes sense, especially with Benzema playing. It just offers that bit of extra support for Kabak and Phillips, but also for the wings as well. You have two central midfielders you can cover Fabinho over there, as well as the fullbacks. It just makes sense for the first game, and then we can kind of assess it after the first 90 minutes and see where we go then.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing is about this, Sam, is let's use Naby Keita as a good example of this. So if he goes away on international duty, he doesn't play all the games, but he actually gets a game of football, which is great. He comes back, he's in decent form, he's fit. Klopp's got a track record of starting him in big football matches. I don't expect Keita to start this game, but he's a good example. And Curtis Jones as well, actually. If either of them started in this game, I don't think any of us would bat an eyelid.
Interestingly, though, I wonder whether we do go with the 4, because I think we were here last October, or it was in November against Man City, and it was, how can you not play Jota? But then the importance of Firmino and Klopp's loyalty to Firmino and understanding of his importance is hard to quantify. So I do wonder whether we almost do play a 4-2-3-1, because in a sense that it looks really attacking. What you can almost do is have 5 or 6 players constantly behind the ball, and one of the fullbacks goes, the other one stays with the 2 midfielders sitting, and vice versa, and you've got the front 4 causing problems. I'm not Pep Linders, so I couldn't tell you how we're going to break it down, but their back 3 will also maybe play a part in how we select, because they are going to play a back 3. They're not going to not play without Ramos. So I'm not sure, really. I think it gives Real Madrid selection headaches in terms of what are Liverpool going to do, and I think Klopp's got a big decision to make as well, because how do you leave Jota out? But Bobby's Bobby.
Yeah. Sam makes a good point there. Real Madrid have kind of flitted back and forth between a back 4 and a back 3, Chris. They played it back 3 at the weekend. They played back 4 the game before that. They played a 3 against Atalanta in the second leg as well, but a 4 in the first leg. Are you bothered what they try and do?
I want them worrying about what we're going to do, and I want them reacting to what we're going to do, rather than... I don't think Liverpool change formation if Real Madrid play a 4 or a 3. I think Liverpool go out there, decide what they're going to do and play it against both formations, do you know what I mean? So for me, I'm looking at the front 3, and personally, I'm going Jota, Mane and Salah in this one, and I'm probably resting Bobby Firmino, and because for me, having that steal of a Gini Wijnaldum in the midfield alongside Fabinho and Thiago is what will give us the platform to win the game. If we go to a 2-man midfield, it's not that we can't, but you're asking a lot from Bobby Firmino to be able to bring that industriousness that a Wijnaldum will bring with Thiago and with Fabinho to a 2-man midfield plus Bobby Firmino. So for me, I'm going a little bit safer, a little bit more conservative, and asking the front 3 to pull their defenders. If it is a 3, drag them all over the place. I want them confused as to who's going to pop up left, who's going to pop up centrally. I want them a breakdown in communications, because that's the thing that I'm looking to sort of take advantage of. If they play a 4 at the back, every defender in the world can play a 4 at the back without thinking about it. Yeah. If a 3 is a relatively new formation for them and they play a 3, then you're having to pass players off, and it's a lot more difficult for the defender. You're putting them under mental stress. You make errors in those situations, and that's what I'm looking to capitalise on.
I don't mind a back 3 if it's an offensive back 3. Something you were talking about, Sam, actually in the WhatsApp group the other day. Like, Leipzig played 3 at the back, and they're the best defence in Germany, pretty much. And it depends on what the fullbacks are going to do. Now, if they're playing Lucas Vazquez as a nominally right wing back or right mid or right back, depending on how it looks, that's not them doing a West Brom and putting loads and loads
and
of men behind the ball.
And it would be Marcelo still on the left, would it?
Yeah,
let's be honest, he's not a left back.
You know, I don't mind the idea of them playing three at the back per se, but it's interesting because the midfield, I agree, the midfield battle thing is where it's going to be interesting. I want to see Fabinho, Thiago, Gini, or if we have to swap one of them out, fine, whatever, as long as it's not Fabinho. Because presumably they're going to do everything in their power to make it Kroos, Modric and Casemiro who start that game. I guess that's still their best midfield. I've not watched anything of Real Madrid this season, to be fair. But it hasn't always been the case. Now, Kroos doesn't play at the weekend, which says to me that if they can, they'll make sure he's right for that. You're right. I want that. I want to see I want those three midfielders on both sides to go head to head and see who comes out on top. And I think you're right. The team that does will have the platform to go on and win the football match. But it's interesting on the front line, then, Callum, we had, when we did the build-up for Arsenal, we were talking a little bit about, do you work it backwards from Madrid? Does Klopp go with Bobby Firmino because as much as he's not having the best season all round for us, it's Europe and it's a big game and it's Bobby and he comes alive in these kind of situations in a different pace to the Premier League as well, and it's tried and tested. But equally, we've seen, if we're going to play counter-attacking, there is a real option there to just put Jota as a front three and go on. We'll just sit back, soak it up, and look to it.
Yeah, I think I'd go with the three pacey forwards of Mane, Salah, and Jota for this one. Obviously, everyone knows I rate Bobby highly, but in this particular game, if they're going three at the back, I like the prospect of Mane, Salah, and Jota going 3-on-3 with whoever they play at centre back. It tickles my fancy. It's a battle I want to see. It's a battle I think we can come out on top of. And I just think it gives us that dynamic where if we are sitting deep and we win the ball back, Trent or Robert can play a ball, or Fabinho or Thiago can play a ball over the top or through the channels and just say, right, you guys go and chase that, go and just destroy that defence now.
Yeah, it's the beauty of this, again, you're right, Jota probably should start because of how the rotation thing's gone, Chris, but there is something, you made reference to this at the weekend, like, you should always put your best foot forward. We've been having this debate for 11 years. Do you start your best team or do you keep something in reserve? But Jota makes this a difficult conversation to have because he's so good off the bench and he does give you both break glass, as we discussed on the Final Word show for Arsenal. He gives you the ability to change it to a 4-2-3-1 and get the 4 on there. But he's just boss, and I want him to play every game of footy, and I want him to start. But there is something to go, and you just go up a gear. It's 0-0, and you want to go and give them more. The legs are starting to tire, and all of a sudden, here comes this angry, hungry Jota into the equation. That's where it's tough for Klopp.
He's brilliant off the bench. Like there are players that are really good substitutes, and Jota's that. He's a great starter as well. But I think he's the best off the bench of the four of them as well, as being one of the maybe the best finisher, or him and Salah as the best finishers. So we buttered Arsenal up basically and put Jota on when they were getting tired and they'd been dragged all over the place, for want of a better phrase. And yet Jota comes on and gets the 2 goals. There's an option for doing something like that with Real Madrid, but I want them stressed from the first minute. I want this to be a mentally taxing 90-minute game of football for Real Madrid, where their defenders are constantly on edge. And I think if you were to introduce in my scenario and Callum's scenario Bobby a little bit later, then it's not the pure pace that you're bringing with Jota from the bench, but you're going to stress them in a slightly different way if it is 0-0. But I think that, look, if Liverpool put the best foot forward, Liverpool do play Jota, Mane and Salah, then I think that's good enough, to be honest. And I think you're hopefully in a position where you're changing things for a different reason.
Yeah, it's just boss. The thing about the 4-2-3-1 shout, and why I'm not comfortable with it in this kind of situation, just because I know you brought it up, Sam, and there's nothing wrong. If we start it, I'll be made up. Just for talking sake right now, is that thing of where'd you go? Where'd you go from there? There's no more attacking Liverpool. There's no one else you'd add into that. You could refresh the midfield, so you might bring Keita in. That might give you a little bit more, or maybe Ox at his peak, which we haven't quite seen yet. But I know we've got a lot of midfield options that I think are ready to go in this one. But this is the thing about it right now. You know, we're talking about, do Real Madrid go with a three at the back or a four at the back? But also, yeah, they're thinking the same thing. What Liverpool did against Arsenal, there's no way Zidane and his coaching staff are having that in the back of their mind. That there's not, you know, we might start 4-2-3-1, but there's every chance as well that we go to it at some point during the game. You know, we've got, barring any unforeseen circumstances between now and kick-off, we've got an amazing set of options, and they're all kind of ready to go as well. So yeah, we are. I think Real Madrid are probably slightly over-preparing for this game more than maybe we are for them.
Yeah, and what's interesting with Real Madrid as well, I'll come to our front four in a second. By the way, I'm with actually you, Chris. And personally, I would play the 4-3-3, but I threw the spanner in the works about Klopp because he did it at City, so he's got sort of history of doing that when he was not sure. But I'm with you. I'd play Ronaldo and Thiago for being on the front three with Jota. But there's something also that kind of could be a real spanner in the works for Madrid here. And if we win the game, right, and we win the game where it looks like Real Madrid have got a real uphill task second leg. Now, of course, they're gonna be up for overturning it and stuff. But Atletico Madrid lost at the weekend, and they are now 2 points off the top, and they've got an El Clasico in between. And in my opinion, whoever wins that Clasico will win the league now. That's my opinion, and a lot of people will probably agree with that. So there is another dynamic for Real Madrid that's crept up in the last couple of days where they probably don't know where they are with all this at the moment. It's probably taking a game. It's a bit like us with the top four, but let's be honest. If it comes to cut the mustard, the Champions League is going to take precedence, isn't it, for us? Whereas for them, it's a bit more complex. So there's an opportunity here that if Klopp does get it right, or is a bit cheeky with his selection, or does do something that Madrid don't see coming, and we do get the game won, so whether that be formation or personnel, it could change everything for next week because of what Madrid have got to think about. And I think that's where it's going to get interesting with how teams are picked for both sides.
Yeah, it's a fascinating point. We drew our attention to that the El Clasico thing when the draw was made, and the league's progressed a couple of games on since then. We talk about teams losing their heads and losing focus. Like Real Madrid are such dyed-in-the-wool winners that I can't see them losing focus in the way that a hot on coming up on the track sort of Liverpool side does, or whatever. But that's what you're playing for potentially with this game, Chris, is you're playing to make sure that Real Madrid's eyes are off the prize by the time the second leg rolls around, because they've got a Clasico at the weekend. If you can get a good result here, if you can go and get a good lead, not just a goal lead, get a couple of goals, and that might be this might sound stupid for people who are watching Real Madrid week in, week out. This might be ridiculous for me even to suggest this, but we've blown teams away before, particularly in Europe. You enter a world where Real Madrid have got no choice but to make sure all their focus goes on to La Liga, because if they lose 2 games in a week, then they've lost the European Cup and potentially La Liga in the space of 7 days.
Yeah, I mean, let's do that then. Why not?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'm all in on trying to get a 4-0 win.
Yeah, let's just do that. Mane, I want to talk about just briefly before we wrap up. I'll stick with you, Chris, because I've seen a lot of people in the comments saying that you don't rest Bobby, rest Mane, and bring Jota in for Mane for this one, which I'm not opposed to, by the way. I think that's another example. It gives you another really exciting, pacey player to bring into the match, which is one thing. Where do you stand on it? Because his form's actually upticked in terms of his overall output in recent games.
For me, listen, we're not getting the end product out of Sadio Mane right now. We're not getting the end product out of Bobby Firmino right now either. When I look at Jota in the front three, it changes a lot, and I think him and Mane are so good at switching positions. I don't really want to see Bobby switching positions with Jota and moving out to the left-hand side, but I do like Jota through the middle, and I feel like if Firmino starts with Jota, we'll see less of Jota in the middle, and we'll see, or if we do see Jota in the middle, we're seeing Bobby on the left. And I'd rather not that be the case either. I think, the front three nowadays does tend to be, if it's Mane and Salah and Firmino, it tends to stay roughly in the same position. Whereas I think we see a little bit more fluid motion when you see Jota and Mane. So that's why I'd go for that. I think Jota's asking questions of defenders that the other three aren't as well. So for me, I'd personally stick with Jota. I do want to talk about Naby Keita though.
We will do in a second.
I do like Keita for this game.
Just the Mane stuff, Callum. The thing that's interesting interesting about him, because obviously Robbie Firmino's not been in form, but he's coming back from injury. Mane, you know, he's got 4 goal contributions in his last 4 games for Liverpool. You know, he scored 2, he scored a goal apiece in either the Leipzig games. That's actually not true, sorry, because there's league games in between there. But in terms of the last 2 Champions League games in particular, he's bagged in them. So he's actually his goal scoring form in the Premier League has been pretty dire in recent weeks. But he has been he's just been a different proposition in Europe. I can't see how he doesn't start this game, but it is a reasonable point that you get to keep with the 4-3-3, you get to keep with the tried and tested Bobby Firmino, doing Bobby Firmino things, but maybe just, I don't know, just keep Mane in reserve. I don't know.
Nah, I mean, I would.
That's probably it.
I get the arguments, and I get why people are saying that. It's not a silly thing saying it. It makes sense, but I just think pace is a real killer against teams like Real Madrid, especially with the injuries they have at the moment. No Danny Carvajal either, apparently, and Mane could really be licking his lips at the prospect of going up against his team. And I think he would be more impactful than Bobby Firmino in that starting front three, in my opinion.
Okie dokie. Go on then, Chris. Naby Keita.
Well, I just think that there's your option to change the game if you do start with your Jota, Mane and your Salah, because I think Keita just brings something different. I don't think you lack first steal in the midfield when you play Keita, but I do think you get something a little bit better going forwards, you know, the way he likes to link up play. And again, this will be the type of game that, you know, Keita will have been relishing when he signed for Liverpool, coming in and playing in one of these humongous games against one of the greatest sides that have ever existed. And there's a platform for him to go and showcase what he can do. And I think we're going to see something great from Keita between now and the end of the season. And I don't know when it's coming, but I know it's coming, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So I'd like it to be this one.
The ideal world scenario, because I've said this before, Jota's doing what Keita's done. You know, he's come in, he's at the level to come in and start games of football. You can start him in any game of football and there's no dip in quality. He's just brilliant at footy. He's just been let down by his body, unfortunately, for a little bit too frequently. But what he is, and this is why I like the idea actually of, Jota should be starting because his form, he's made himself a worthwhile option. But I'm not, if we decide not to start Jota and not to start Keita, then that means for me, we've got a situation where 60 minutes, 65, 70, you can potentially bring Keita on and Jota, who the bare minimum maintain the level that you had prior to the substitutions, but actually arguably make your team a bit better. And that's something that, you know, can Real Madrid handle that? Because again, we talk about it, that midfield's not getting any younger. You know, that team is not the absolute best. Every team in world footy that's been playing all season is suffering a bit now. We see energy levels falling off across the board, across footy. You know, more wins being had on home grounds for away teams and what have you. Liverpool have got this for the first time in ages, and we saw this with it was Leipzig was the first time we really got to see it. It's like, oh wow, we can just change. We can change the team and improve. There's no more, oh God, we've got to throw Takumi Minamino into midfield because we just need someone to get some rest. We're just throwing Divock Origi on and all looking up to the heavens and saying, you know, saying our prayers and taking our vitamins and all that kind of stuff, you know, hoping that it's going to come out in our favour. Yeah, this is Liverpool as healthy as
the Origi thing, we were talking about this a little bit on the final word, and I was going to pop in then and say, but I've got a save on one of my footy managers, and it was Cardiff, right, and I'd signed Andy Carroll as my break glass solution, and he come on in like the first game of the season and scored a header, and that was it. In my mind, he was always going to come on and score goals. Now I checked the stats at the end of the year, he scored 2 after coming on as a sub nearly 45 times for me, right, but I was playing the Divock Origi card because he's done it before and I remember it, and it just doesn't mean he's very good at it.
You know what I mean? Oh, absolutely. I mean,
I was like, I've really brought him on 45 times for 2 goals. What an idiot.
Look at, you know, again, bear in mind, barring any things which could happen because that's where the season's gone, you've got Naby Keita who's ready to go. Ox is ready to go as he's been for quite some time. It's either going to be Bobby or Jota likely. You know, one of them will be on the substitutes bench, and Curtis Jones. These are all lads who can come on onto the biggest stage and deliver for us. Very, very exciting indeed. Let's have some score predictions then, Chris.
Liverpool are going to win this game by 2-0. The nil is a guaranteed in it because we're going to have Nat Phillips and Kabak starting at the back. So we can chalk that down. And then it's just how many are Liverpool going to score. 2.
Okay. Callum?
I'm going to go 3-1 Liverpool.
Okay.
Yeah, I think KG first 45. I think we'll piece them open in the second half.
Interesting. Sam?
3-0.
Go on, Sam.
Oh, go on.
Bollocks on the table. Bollocks on the table. Fuck it, why not?
Yeah.
3-0.
I
love that. 5-0, Paul?
I'm like, I was going to go big on a 3-0 or whatever. 3-1. Yeah, go on. Go. Benzema will score because he always scores. But that'll be it. I actually wouldn't even mind they maybe bag early and we just shake it off and just go and batter them a bit, like taking a big blow on. You throw the biggest punch and we just go and wipe it off and laugh and then go and smack them everywhere. But if we just did if we play like we've played it in those 2 games against Leipzig, and look, different team, different environment, different experience, of course. Sound.
But yeah. Alisson hasn't conceded with this moustache either, has he?
Oh,
so there's another thing.
I mean, I don't know if he might have conceded being able to have intercourse with his wife, because I don't know whether the moustache is really if she's banging for it or not. But he's not short on options. All I'm saying is that if social media is anything to go by, people are absolutely adoring it. Second best moustache associated with Liverpool Football Club after me dad at this point.
Say okay, we'll go with you, Dad.
Yeah. Cool. Let us know in the comments then what you think.
If we win the Champions League this season, will you grow an Alisson moustache? I'll shave the rest of your beard.
I was going to say, I've had one the whole time. I just don't shave. No, absolutely not. It's ridiculous.
Oh, come on.
I do it every now and again. If I have a big shave, I'm
just leave it on, just have a laugh.
Shave it off, and then send the photo to my dad and go. But no, I couldn't do that.
If Liverpool win the Champions League this season, I will try to grow an Alisson moustache.
Can I draw one on you?
You can draw one with permanent marker on my face.
Okay. Right. Yes. Thank you for joining us. Let us know your score predictions and your starting 11 predictions in the comments section. Speaking of starting 11, we're going to be live. If you're watching this live right now, it's coming up on the rails, and it's what time are we going live?
About half an hour, 1 o'clock.
About half an hour. So yeah, if you want to hang around, then please do. But if you're watching after the fact, it'll be up on the YouTube channel. So do check that out. Don't forget to go and check out the Carragher interview as well. Really, really interesting. Insight into Liverpool's Champions League campaign up and coming. That is exclusively on the redmentv.com, and as mentioned, there's a competition for Club Legend subscribers. Details will follow at the end of this video, but thank you so much to Callum. Guys, do go and check out Team Coppish as well. They're just over 20,000 subscribers, so let's get them up to 25 and beyond. So go and subscribe to there. Thank you very much to Sam Walker, to Chris Pajak, of course, and for you guys at home, Liverpool Real Madrid. We'll be here with a watch along. Make sure you check that out on the night. See you there. Ta-da. Hey everyone, what's happening? We've got an amazing competition for you guys right now. You can be in with the chance of winning this exclusive Liverpool pin badge set. All you've got to do is go over and sign up or upgrade your subscription to Club Legend over on the redmentv.com, which is our Liverpool streaming service platform. Not only that, will you also get access to an incredible suite of Liverpool content, post-match stuff, news, subscription shows of us based in the studio, but not just that as well, documentaries, series, features and interviews with Liverpool legends past and present. It's basically like Netflix for Liverpool fans, and if you sign up at Club Legend you get a bunch of perks as well, free merchandise, discounts on a whole host of things, and yes, you're entered into monthly prize draws, and this month that is that incredible pin badge set. So go over to the redmentv.com right now, sign up and get involved.